Stop this
Trevor
wedding.
slammed the
I am
ring
not
onto the
marrying you.
marble floor. The sharp sound echoed across the cathedral,
What is happening?
silencing the music, the whispers, the joy that had filled the room only seconds earlier. Afro-k froze. For a moment, she thought she had misheard him. But Trevor wasn't done. He stepped back from the altar, looked at the crowd, and laughed. "Did you really think I was going to marry you?" he said loudly. Gasps rippled through the guests. Amara's fingers trembled. "Trevor, what are you doing?" "Oh, come on," Trevor scoffed. "You didn't think I'd spend the rest of my life with someone like you." Before we continue, besties, kindly like, comment, and subscribe to the channel so you'll be the first to be notified every time we upload a new fascinating and interesting videos like this. The bridesmaids exchanged shocked looks. The priest cleared his throat nervously. Amara felt every eye in the church burn into her skin. "Please," she whispered, "not here." But Trevor wasn't interested in mercy. "You trapped me with this wedding," he continued. "You thought once we got to the altar I'd have no choice." He kicked the ring across the floor. "I'd rather die than marry you." The humiliation hit Amara like a wave. Her mother stood up from the front row, tears streaming down her face. Whispers erupted everywhere. Did she really trap him? I heard she pushed him into this marriage. How embarrassing. Amara's throat tightened. "Trevor, we talked about this. You said you loved me." Trevor rolled his eyes. "Yeah, that was before I realized how desperate you were." The words sliced through her chest. Amara turned, ready to run down the aisle and disappear from the nightmare unfolding in front of hundreds of people. Then a deep voice cut through the chaos. "If you don't want her, I will marry her." The entire church went silent. Every head turned toward the back of the cathedral. A tall man stood there. Black suit, broad shoulders, calm expression. He looked completely unfazed by the chaos around him. Amara had never seen him before. Trevor frowned. "Who the hell are you?" The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked slowly down the aisle. Each step echoed in the quiet church. The guests parted instinctively as he passed. There was something about him that made people move without thinking. Amara's heart pounded as the stranger stopped in front of the altar. Up close, she noticed the sharp angles of his face, the quiet intensity in his eyes. He looked at her, not with pity, not with curiosity, but with calm certainty. Then he reached down, picked up the discarded ring, and placed it gently in Amara's trembling hand. "You shouldn't beg someone who just humiliated you," he said quietly. His voice was steady, almost protective. Trevor laughed. "You think you're some kind of hero." One of Trevor's groomsmen suddenly grabbed his arm. "Trevor, stop," the man whispered urgently. Trevor shook him off. "What?" The groomsman leaned closer, his face pale. "That's Kang Yi-min." Trevor's expression changed instantly. "What?" "You know, the one who." Trevor's confidence cracked. The stranger turned to the priest. "Continue the ceremony." The priest blinked nervously. "Sir, this is highly irregular." Yi-min pulled a folded document from his jacket and handed it over. The priest unfolded it slowly. His eyes widened. It was a completed marriage license. Signed. Stamped. Legally valid. The priest looked between the paper and Yi-min. "Sir, this is already registered." "Correct," Yi-min said calmly. Trevor stepped forward angrily. "You can't just steal my wedding." Yi-min finally looked at him. Not with anger. Just quiet warning. "You made your decision," he said. Trevor froze. Something in Yi-min's gaze made him hesitate. "You humiliated her," Yi-min continued. "Now the ceremony continues." Amara's mind spun. What was happening? Why was this stranger doing this? The priest looked uncertain. But the tension in the room was unbearable. Slowly, he cleared his throat. "Do you accept this man as your husband?" Amara stared at Yimin. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. His voice softened slightly. "Because no one deserves what just happened to you." Her eyes burned with tears. The entire church was watching, judging, whispering. If she walked away now, the humiliation would follow her forever. Yimin held out his hand. "Your choice," he said quietly. For several seconds, Amara couldn't move. Then she placed her hand in his. "Yes," she said. A stunned murmur swept through the cathedral. Trevor looked like he might explode. "This is insane." The priest swallowed hard. "And do you, Kang Yimin, take this woman as your wife?" "I do." Minutes later, the priest raised his voice. "I now pronounce you husband and wife." The words felt surreal. Yimin gently slid the ring onto Amara's finger. For the first time since the chaos began, she felt something unexpected. Safety. Trevor cursed loudly and stormed down the aisle. His groomsmen followed quickly. No one stopped him. Yimin turned back to Amara. "You okay?" he asked quietly. She nodded weakly. "I think so." "Good." He offered his arm. "Let's leave." They walked down the aisle together. Hundreds of stunned guests stared as the newly married couple exited the cathedral. Outside, a convoy of sleek black cars waited. Amara blinked in confusion. "You came prepared." Yimin opened the car door. "I rarely attend events unprepared." She hesitated before stepping inside. The door closed behind them. The car pulled away from the church. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Amara stared out the window, trying to process what had just happened. Finally, she turned toward him. "You married a stranger today." "So did you," Yimin replied calmly. She let out a nervous laugh. "Are you always this calm?" "Usually." She studied his face. "Who are you really?" He looked ahead, silent for a moment. "Kang Yimin." "That's not what I meant." He glanced at her. "I figured." Amara folded her arms. "You walked into a church, married a woman you didn't know, and scared my ex-fiancé half to death." She leaned closer. "So I'll ask again. Who are you?" Yimin gave a small smile. "You'll find out soon enough." The car turned onto a private driveway, leading to a towering glass building overlooking the city. Amara's eyes widened. "Is this where you live?" "For now." The car stopped in front of a luxurious entrance. A woman in a tailored suit stepped forward as they exited the car. "Welcome home, Mr. Kang," she said politely. Then she looked at Amara. "And this must be your wife." Amara blinked. The word felt strange. Yimin nodded. "Madam Park, this is Amara." Madam Park bowed slightly. "Congratulations on your marriage." Amara forced a smile. "Thank you." Inside, the penthouse was enormous. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glowing city skyline. Madam Park gently guided Amara toward a hallway. "You must be exhausted," she said kindly. "Let's get you out of that dress." Once the door closed behind her, Amara sat on the edge of the bed. Her hands began to shake. Everything had happened too fast. The humiliation. The stranger. The marriage. Tears slid down her cheeks. For the first time all day, she finally allowed herself to cry. Across the penthouse, Yimin stood by the window, looking out over the city lights. Madam Park approached quietly. "Sir, the media is already reporting the wedding." Yimin nodded. "I expected that. What should we tell them?" He turned back toward the hallway where Amara had disappeared. "Nothing yet." Madam Park studied his expression. "You protected her today." Yimin's voice was calm. "Yes. But the world will start asking questions." "I know." He looked toward the city again. "And when they do, we'll give them a story they can believe." Then he added quietly, "But the truth." His eyes darkened slightly. "Will stay between us." And across the penthouse, Amara Akoy had no idea that the man she had just married was one of the most dangerous men in the world. Amara's tears had barely stopped when Madame Park returned with a simple silk robe. "You should rest," the older woman said gently. "Today has been overwhelming." Amara gave a weak nod. "That's one way to put it." Madame Park hesitated before speaking again. "Mr. Kang rarely brings anyone here." Amara looked up. "Really?" "Yes." The answer made her uneasy instead of comforted. "What kind of man did I just marry?" Amara asked quietly. Madame Park only smiled politely. "A complicated one." After the woman left, Amara stood and walked slowly toward the window. The city lights stretched endlessly below the penthouse. Her phone buzzed suddenly on the bedside table. Then again. And again. Amara picked it up. Dozens of notifications flooded the screen. Texts. Missed calls. Social media alerts. Her stomach tightened. She opened one message from her cousin. "AMARA, what just HAPPNED?" Another from a friend. "Girl, the wedding video is everywhere." Her heart dropped. With shaking fingers, she opened social media. The first video appeared instantly. It was the exact moment Trevor threw the ring on the floor. The caption read, "Bride gets dumped at the altar, then marries mystery billionaire." The video already had hundreds of thousands of views. Comments scrolled endlessly. "Embarrassing. She must be desperate. Who is that rich guy? Looks staged. Gold digger." Amara felt sick. She locked the phone and dropped it on the bed. Across the penthouse, Yimin sat at a long dining table reviewing documents on a tablet. His phone buzzed. He answered calmly. "Yes." A man's voice spoke quickly on the other end. "The video is trending everywhere. Media outlets are requesting interviews." Yimin remained calm. "Expected. What should we tell them?" Yimin leaned back slightly. "Release a statement tomorrow." "What kind of statement?" "That we've been seeing each other privately." The man paused. "You want them to believe this was a love story." "People prefer romance over scandal," Yimin replied. "Give them something simple." "And the ex-fiancé?" Yimin's voice cooled slightly. "He's irrelevant." The call ended. Madame Park entered the dining area quietly. "Sir, dinner is ready." Yimin glanced toward the hallway. "Has she eaten?" "No, she's still in her room." "Thank you." He stood. Moments later, there was a soft knock on Amara's bedroom door. She wiped her face quickly. "Come in." Yimin stepped inside. His presence instantly filled the room. Amara felt nervous again. He noticed the phone on the bed. "You've seen the internet." She gave a tired laugh. "Hard to miss." "People online are cruel," he said calmly. "That's putting it lightly." She looked at him. "Do you know what they're saying about me?" "Yes." "And it doesn't bother you?" Yimin shrugged slightly. "I stopped caring about public opinion years ago." "That must be nice." "It has its advantages." Amara crossed her arms. "They're calling me a gold digger." "You're not." "They don't know that." "They don't matter." She stared at him for a moment. "You really believe that?" "Yes." His answer was immediate. Amara exhaled slowly. "I don't even know you." "That's fair." "And yet somehow we're married." "Yes." Silence filled the room. Then Amara asked the question she'd been holding back. "Why were you at that wedding?" Yimin didn't answer immediately. Instead, he walked to the window. "Business." "What kind of business brings someone to a stranger's wedding?" "The complicated kind." "That's not an answer." "No, it is." Amara frowned. Are you always this mysterious? Usually. She rubbed her temples. My life exploded today, and you're speaking in riddles. He turned back toward her. I didn't intend to complicate your life. You married me in front of 200 people. Yes. That's pretty complicated. For the first time, Yimin looked slightly amused. Point taken. Amara hesitated before speaking again. Trevor seemed scared of you. He recognized my name. So some people react that way. What do you do that scares people? Yimin studied her face carefully. Do you really want the honest answer? Yes. You might not like it. Try me. He walked back toward the center of the room. My businesses operate in several countries. Okay. Shipping. Still normal. Private security. Also normal. He paused. And things that are less legal. Amara's expression slowly changed. Like what? Smuggling routes. Her stomach tightened. Anything else? Underground casinos. She stared at him. Are you telling me you're a criminal? Yimin's voice remained calm. I operate in areas where the law and profit often overlap. That's a fancy way of saying yes. He didn't argue. Amara ran a hand through her hair. So let me get this straight. She pointed toward him. You're some kind of international crime boss. That's a dramatic description. And you married me today. Yes. Why? He answered simply. Because you deserved better than what happened in that church. Amara's eyes searched his face. You didn't even know me. I knew enough. What does that mean? Yimin didn't respond. The silence stretched. Finally, Amara sighed. I'm too exhausted to figure out your secrets tonight. That's understandable. He stepped toward the door. You can stay here as long as you want. She frowned. What do you mean? If you want to leave tomorrow, I'll arrange it. You're offering to help me escape my own husband. Yes. That's weirdly considerate. I prefer people to stay by choice. Amara sat back on the bed. Right now, I don't even know what choice I'd make. You don't have to decide tonight. He opened the door. But the media storm will grow tomorrow. Great. We'll manage it. She looked at him again. Why are you helping me? Yimin paused before answering. Because no one helped you today. Then he left the room. Amara sat in silence. His words echoed in her mind. Because no one helped you. Across the penthouse, Yimin entered his office. One of his associates appeared on a video screen. A middle-aged Korean man with sharp eyes. Yimin, the man said coldly. Explain. Yimin sat down calmly. I assume you saw the wedding. You married a stranger in a public church. Yes. Have you lost your mind? No. The older man's expression hardened. You're exposing the organization. She's not involved. Your enemies won't care. Yimin leaned forward slightly. She needed protection. The man scoffed. You've never been sentimental. People change. Not you. Yimin's voice dropped slightly. This conversation is over. The screen went dark. He leaned back in his chair. For the first time that evening, his calm expression faded slightly. He looked toward the hallway where Amara slept. Then he murmured quietly to himself. You have no idea what kind of storm you just walked into. Amara woke up the next morning to the sound of her phone vibrating again. For a few seconds, she stared at the ceiling, trying to remember where she was. Then everything rushed back. The wedding. Trevor's humiliation. The stranger. The marriage. She sat up slowly and reached for her phone. More notifications. Hundreds this time. Her stomach twisted as she opened social media again. The video from the church had exploded overnight. Millions of views. Clips of Trevor throwing the ring were everywhere. But something else had changed. Now people were more interested in the mysterious man who had married her. Who is Kang Yi-min? Is he a billionaire? He looks like a mafia boss. Did she marry him for money? Amara groaned and dropped the phone back onto the bed. There was a knock on the door. "Come in," she said. Madam Park entered with a warm smile. "Good morning, Mrs. Kang." Amara blinked. "Please don't call me that yet." Madam Park chuckled softly. "Old habits." She placed a tray of breakfast on the small table by the window. "You should eat." Amara glanced at the food, but didn't feel hungry. "Is he here?" she asked. "Mr. Kang has been working since early morning." "That doesn't surprise me." Madam Park studied her for a moment. "You are stronger than you think." Amara sighed. "I don't feel strong." "You will." The older woman left quietly. A few minutes later, Amara forced herself to get dressed and stepped out of the bedroom. The penthouse was even more impressive in daylight. Sunlight poured through the massive windows, illuminating the sleek modern furniture. At the far end of the living room, Yi-min stood by the window talking on the phone. His voice was calm but firm. "No interviews." He paused. "Yes, release the statement." Another pause. "No details about our private life." He ended the call and turned. Amara stood there awkwardly. "Good morning," he said. She crossed her arms. "Apparently I'm famous now." "Yes." "I didn't want fame." "Few people do." She walked toward the window. "Your media team already released a statement." Yi-min nodded. "You saw it?" "Yeah." She pulled up the article on her phone. The headline read, "Secret romance revealed. Billionaire Kang Yi-min marries longtime girlfriend." Amara raised an eyebrow. Longtime girlfriend. A convenient narrative. "You could have warned me." "You're warned now." She shook her head in disbelief. "So according to the world, we've been secretly dating for months." "Yes." "And suddenly decided to get married at the altar." "That's the story." Amara stared at him. "You're very good at controlling things." "I try." She leaned against the window. "Does it work?" "Most of the time." Her expression softened slightly. "Thank you." "For what?" "For not letting that humiliation be the last chapter of my life." Yi-min studied her quietly. "You don't owe me anything." "Maybe not." She looked at the city below. "But I still appreciate it." For a moment, the atmosphere between them felt calmer. Then Amara's phone rang. The screen displayed a name she hadn't expected. Daniel. Her chest tightened. Yi-min noticed immediately. "You can answer it." Amara hesitated before pressing the button. "Hello." Daniel's voice exploded through the speaker. "Amara, what the hell did you do?" She frowned. "You're the one who humiliated me at the altar." "That was a mistake." "A mistake?" "Yes." His voice sounded desperate. "I lost my temper. You publicly destroyed me. Look, I didn't expect some random guy to marry you." "He's not random anymore." Daniel scoffed. "You don't even know him." Amara glanced at Yi-min. "Maybe not. But I know you." Daniel's voice softened slightly. "Amara, we can fix this." Her stomach twisted. "Fix it?" "Yes, just come back. We'll explain everything to people." "Explain what?" "That the wedding got emotional. You threw the ring on the floor." Silence. Then Daniel spoke again. "Who is that guy?" "Why does it matter?" "Because everyone's talking about him." Amara's voice hardened. "You lost the right to ask about my life the moment you humiliated me." Daniel exhaled sharply. You're making a mistake. Goodbye, Daniel. She ended the call. Her hands were shaking slightly. Yimin walked closer. He wants you back. Yes. Do you? No. Her answer was immediate. Yimin nodded once. Good. Amara looked at him. You sound confident. People like Daniel rarely change. You barely know him. I know his type. She gave a tired smile. That's probably true. But her relief didn't last long. Another call came in. Unknown number. Amara hesitated before answering. A cold voice spoke. Mrs. Kang. Her stomach dropped. Who is this? That doesn't matter. She felt Yimin's attention sharpen beside her. What do you want? She asked. To warn you. About what? The man you married. Amara's heart began to pound. The voice continued. Kang Yimin has many enemies. Yimin stepped closer, listening. You're now one of his weaknesses. Amara's voice tightened. Who is this? You'll find out soon enough. The call disconnected. The room fell silent. Amara slowly lowered the phone. That didn't sound like a prank. No, Yimin said calmly. It didn't. Her eyes widened slightly. So people really want to hurt you? Yes. And now they might come after me. That's possible. Amara stared at him. You said I could leave any time. That offer still stands. She looked down at the phone in her hand. The humiliation at the wedding. The internet mocking her. Trevor suddenly wanting her back. And now threats from strangers. Amara shook her head slowly. No. Yimin raised an eyebrow. No. I'm not running. His gaze sharpened slightly. You're sure? She looked directly at him. Yesterday, I was humiliated in front of everyone I know. Her voice grew stronger. I'm not going to spend the rest of my life hiding from people who threaten me. For the first time since they met, Yimin looked impressed. Interesting. What? You're braver than most people I know. She gave a small shrug. Maybe I'm just angry. Anger can be useful. She exhaled slowly. So what happens now? Yimin's voice became calm again. Now we prepare. For what? For the storm that's coming. Outside the massive windows, the city continued its busy morning. But neither of them noticed. Because both of them knew something had changed. The humiliation at the altar had started something much bigger. And the world around them was about to get far more dangerous. Amara stood near the window for a long moment after the threatening call ended, staring at the city as if it might somehow give her answers. It didn't. Behind her, Yimin picked up his phone and sent a short message. Within seconds, it buzzed with replies. He read them silently, his expression calm but focused. Amara turned toward him. You look like this isn't the first threat you've received. It isn't, he said. That's comforting. It shouldn't be. She folded her arms. So what exactly does prepare for the storm mean? It means you won't leave this penthouse alone for a while. Her eyebrows lifted. You're putting me on house arrest. I'm keeping you alive. That's dramatic. No, he said quietly. It's realistic. She studied his face, trying to see if he was exaggerating. He was. Do people actually try to kill you? She asked. Yes. The blunt answer sent a chill down her spine. And now they might try to kill me. They might try to get to me through you. Amara swallowed. Well, that's great. Yimin walked toward a sleek control panel near the wall. He pressed a button. A moment later, two men entered the penthouse. Both wore dark suits and carried themselves with the alert posture of trained professionals. Security detail, Yimin said. The taller man nodded respectfully. Sir, this is Amara. The two men bowed their heads slightly. Ma'am. Amara blinked. You're assigning bodyguards to me. Yes. I've never had bodyguards. There's a first time for everything. She looked between the two men. This is starting to feel very real. It is. Yimin turned back to the guards. No one enters the building without clearance. Yes, sir. They left as quietly as they had arrived. Amara sat down on the couch and rubbed her temples. Yesterday, I was planning a honeymoon. Yimin leaned against the opposite chair. And today I apparently married a mafia billionaire and received my first death threat. He didn't argue. That's an accurate summary. She laughed weakly. If someone told me this story yesterday, I'd think it was a movie. Life is unpredictable. That's one way to describe it. For a moment, they sat in silence. Then Amara's phone buzzed again. She sighed. I'm almost afraid to answer this one. Who is it? She checked the screen. My mother. Yimin nodded. You should answer. Amara pressed the call button. Mom. Her mother's voice came through instantly. Amara, are you all right? I'm fine. What happened at the wedding? Everyone is calling me. Amara glanced at Yimin. It was complicated. You disappeared with that man. His name is Yimin. I don't care what his name is, her mother snapped. You married him. Yes. There was a long pause. Then her mother spoke again, more quietly. Do you know him? Amara hesitated. Not very well. Oh my God. Mom, listen. He helped me when Trevor humiliated me. I saw the video, her mother said softly. That man embarrassed our entire family. Amara felt a lump in her throat. I know. But marrying a stranger. He's not dangerous, Amara said automatically. Across the room, Yimin raised an eyebrow slightly. Her mother sighed heavily. Are you safe? Amara looked around the luxurious penthouse. Yes. Then bring him to dinner. What? If he's your husband, I want to meet him. Amara hesitated. I'll ask him. Good. The call ended. Amara lowered the phone slowly. My family wants to meet you. Yimin looked mildly amused. That was fast. Welcome to my life. Dinner. Apparently. He thought for a moment. That might not be a bad idea. You're serious. Meeting family builds credibility for our story. She narrowed her eyes. You're treating my life like a strategy meeting. I treat everything like a strategy meeting. That sounds exhausting. It can be. Before Amara could reply, Yimin's phone rang. His expression changed slightly when he saw the caller. He answered. Yes. A voice spoke urgently on the other end. Amara watched his face carefully. His calm expression slowly hardened. When? He asked. Another pause. I see. He ended the call. What happened? Amara asked. One of my warehouses was attacked. Her stomach tightened. By who? Probably the same people who called you. That was fast. They're testing my response. And what does that mean? It means things are escalating. Amara stood. Escalating how? Someone wants a war. Her eyes widened. You mean an actual war? In my world, yes. And I'm somehow part of it now. Yimin walked toward the window again. That's why I offered you a chance to leave. She stepped closer to him. And if I leave, you'd be protected. And if I stay, he looked at her. You become part of my world. What does that involve? Danger. That much is obvious. And loyalty. Amara crossed her arms. You're asking a lot from someone you met yesterday. I'm asking nothing. Then why are you telling me this? Because you deserve honesty. She stared at him for several seconds. You really think I'm strong enough for your world? I think you're stronger than you realize. She let out a slow breath. Yesterday, my fiancé humiliated me in front of everyone. Yes. Today, strangers are threatening me because I married you. Yes. She looked him straight in the eye. Then I guess my life is already crazy. For the first time, Yimin smiled slightly. That's a reasonable conclusion. Amara shook her head. I can't believe I'm saying this. Saying what? I'm staying. His smile faded into a serious expression again. You should think carefully. I have. And she lifted her chin. If people think they can scare me away, they're wrong. Yimin studied her face carefully. You might regret that decision. Maybe. But right now, she said firmly, I refuse to run. The tension in the room shifted. Something unspoken passed between them. Respect. Yimin nodded once. Then we face this together. Amara looked toward the massive windows. The city lights had begun to glow as evening approached. Somewhere out there were people who now considered her a target. But strangely, she didn't feel alone anymore. Because the man standing beside her wasn't just powerful. He was dangerous. And somehow, she had chosen to stand at his side. Dinner at Amara's parents' house was anything but calm. The moment Yimin's black car stopped outside the modest Lagos home, neighbors began peeking through their windows. Word had spread quickly. The viral wedding video had already reached everyone in the neighborhood. Amara stepped out of the car first, her stomach tight with nerves. You ready? Yimin asked quietly beside her. Not even close. He straightened his jacket calmly. Good, honest reactions are easier to manage. She gave him a look. You're really treating this like a business meeting. Meeting family is always strategic. Amara sighed and knocked on the door. It opened instantly. Her mother stood there, eyes scanning Yimin from head to toe. So you're the man who married my daughter. Yimin bowed his head slightly. Yes, ma'am. The polite gesture surprised her mother. Come inside. The living room was already full. Amara's father sat stiffly on the couch. Two of her cousins whispered to each other in the corner. Everyone stared at Yimin. The tension was thick. Amara cleared her throat. Everyone, this is Yimin. Her father spoke first. You married my daughter yesterday. Yes. Why? Yimin answered without hesitation. Because she deserved respect. The room fell quiet. Amara's mother folded her arms. You barely know her. That's true. And yet, you married her in front of hundreds of people. Yes. Her mother narrowed her eyes. You understand how strange that sounds. I do. Her father leaned forward. Are you planning to divorce her next week? No. The calm answer surprised everyone. Yimin continued. I intend to honor the marriage. Amara felt heat rise in her chest. Something about the way he said it felt sincere. Her cousin finally spoke up. So, what do you actually do for work? Amara almost laughed. Yimin answered calmly. I manage international logistics companies. That sounds fancy, the cousin said. It can be. Amara's father studied him carefully. You're very calm for someone in this situation. Yimin gave a small smile. I've been in more stressful rooms. The tension slowly eased. Dinner was served. Conversation remained cautious but polite. But halfway through the meal, Amara's phone buzzed again. She checked the screen. Unknown number. Her stomach tightened. She excused herself and stepped outside. Hello. A familiar voice answered. Daniel. Amara. Her jaw clenched. How did you get this number? I still have it saved. What do you want? I need to see you. No. Please. She shook her head. After what you did, I messed up. You humiliated me. I know. His voice sounded desperate. But you married someone you don't even know. That's my decision. Daniel lowered his voice. Do you even know who that guy is? Yes. No, you don't. Amara frowned. What are you talking about? He's dangerous. I'm aware. You should be terrified. Why? Daniel hesitated before speaking again. I've been asking around. Her stomach tightened. And people are scared of him. That's not news. Amara, you're involved with something much bigger than you realize. She exhaled slowly. I already know that. You should leave him. No. Why not? She thought about the humiliation at the altar. About the threats. About the calm strength Yimin had shown since yesterday. Because he didn't abandon me when everyone else did. Daniel went quiet. You're making a mistake, he said finally. Goodbye, Daniel. She hung up before he could say anything else. When she returned inside, Yimin immediately noticed the change in her expression. Daniel, he asked quietly. Yes. What did he want? To warn me about you. Yimin raised an eyebrow. That's ironic. Apparently you scare people. That happens. Her father overheard the conversation. What's going on? Amara hesitated. Yimin answered instead. Some business rivals are unhappy with me. That sounds serious, her father said. It is. Amara's mother looked concerned. Are you putting my daughter in danger? Yimin met her gaze directly. I'm doing everything possible to protect her. The honesty in his voice filled the room. Amara's father nodded slowly. Then you'd better succeed. I will. Dinner ended not long after. As they walked back to the car, Amara let out a long breath. Well, that went better than expected. They like you. They tolerate you. That's a start. She glanced at him. You handled that well. Families are important. She smiled slightly. I didn't expect you to care about that. People often underestimate what I care about. They climbed into the car. But as the vehicle pulled away from the house, Yimin's phone rang again. He answered quickly. Yes. The voice on the other end spoke urgently. Yimin's expression hardened. When? Another pause. I understand. He ended the call. Amara felt tension return instantly. What happened? One of my men was attacked. Her heart dropped. Is he alive? Yes, but barely. Who did it? The same group testing my defenses. The car sped through the dark streets. Amara watched the city lights blur past the window. So this is really happening. Yes. And it's getting worse. Yes. She turned toward him. Are you scared? Yimin looked surprised by the question. Fear is useful, he said. That's not an answer. He considered it for a moment. I'm not afraid for myself. But for me. Yes. Her chest tightened slightly. You barely know me. Sometimes that doesn't matter. She looked away toward the window again. The silence between them felt different now. He wasn't just the stranger who saved her at the altar anymore. He was the man standing between her and people who wanted to hurt them both. And somewhere in the distance, forces were already moving against them. The storm Yimin warned about had officially begun. The penthouse felt different that night. Quieter. Tenser. Amara could sense it the moment she stepped out of the elevator. 2 additional security guards stood near the entrance. Both nodded respectfully when they saw Yimin. Sir. Yimin acknowledged them with a slight nod and led Amara inside. The moment the doors closed behind them, she turned to him. Okay, something definitely changed. Yes. You added more security. Yes. That means things are getting worse. He didn't deny it. Amara walked slowly across the living room. So the man who got attacked, he works for you. Yes. Was it random? No. Then what? Yimin loosened his tie slightly. It was a message. To you. Yes. Amara folded her arms. So someone is trying to start a war with you. That's correct. And because I married you yesterday, I'm now part of that war. Yes. She let out a quiet breath. Well, that escalated quickly. Yimin studied her. You're handling this better than most people would. That's because I'm still in shock. She walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. When does the shock wear off? It usually doesn't. That's comforting. Her phone buzzed again. She checked the screen. Social media notifications kept flooding in. The story was still trending. Now reporters were speculating about Yimin's identity. People are digging into your life, Amara said. They will. And they're not going to like what they find. Probably not. She turned toward him. Does that bother you? No. But it might bother me. Yimin didn't respond. Amara sighed and tossed the phone onto the couch. I feel like my life turned into a thriller movie overnight. He gave a faint smile. That's an accurate description. Before she could reply, the elevator doors opened again. Two men entered quickly. Both looked serious. Amara recognized one of them from earlier security briefings. He approached Yimin immediately. Sir, we have a situation. Yimin's tone remained calm. Explain. We intercepted communications from the Han Group. Amara frowned. The Han Group. Yimin answered quietly. An organization that doesn't like me. The guard continued. They're planning something. What kind of something? We're not sure yet. Yimin nodded once. Increase surveillance. Yes, sir. The men left quickly. Amara stared at him. So now there's a rival organization. Yes. Of course there is. She paced slowly across the room. Let me guess, they want your power. Something like that. And they think I'm your weakness. Yes. She stopped packing. Well, that's annoying. You can still leave, he reminded her. Amara shook her head. No. You don't have to prove anything. I'm not proving anything. Then why stay? She looked at him seriously. Because if I run now, they win. Yimin studied her face carefully. You're stubborn. I've been called worse. The tension in the room softened slightly. But only for a moment. Suddenly, the security alarm beeped. Both of them turned instantly. Yimin's expression sharpened. What was that? Amara asked. Movement detection. Inside the building. Yes. Her pulse jumped. You said this place was secure. It is. The alarm beeped again. A voice from the security system spoke. Unauthorized access detected on the lower floor. Amara felt her stomach drop. That doesn't sound good. No, Yimin said calmly. It doesn't. He moved quickly toward a cabinet and opened it. Inside was a handgun. Amara's eyes widened. You keep guns in your living room. In my world, yes. He checked the weapon quickly. Stay behind me. Her heart began pounding. You think someone broke in? Yes. Footsteps echoed faintly from the hallway. Amara's breath caught. Yimin. I hear it. The footsteps came closer. Slow. Careful. The tension in the room became suffocating. Amara's palms were sweating. Should we call the police? She whispered. No. Why not? Because by the time they arrive, this will already be over. The footsteps stopped just outside the door. Then the handle moved slightly. Amara's heart felt like it might explode. The door suddenly opened. 2 armed men rushed inside. Everything happened fast. Ye men moved instantly. A loud crack echoed through the penthouse. One attacker dropped to the floor. The second man fired back. Amara screamed and ducked behind the couch. Glass shattered from the nearby window. Another shot rang out. Then silence. Amara slowly looked up. The second attacker lay motionless. Yi Min stood calmly in the center of the room, gun still raised. Her heart raced wildly. Are they dead? Yes. Her voice trembled slightly. They came here to kill you. Yes. And they would have killed me too. Yes. Security guards rushed into the room seconds later. One of them looked shocked. Sir. Yi Min lowered the weapon. Clean this up. Yes, sir. The guards quickly began securing the area. Amara stood slowly, her legs shaking. She stared at the 2 bodies on the floor. This is real, she whispered. Yi Min looked at her carefully. Yes. Her breathing slowly steadied. You warned me. I did. She walked closer to him. You just killed 2 men. They were trying to kill us. That doesn't make it less shocking. No. She stared at him for several seconds. You didn't even hesitate. I couldn't. Silence filled the room. Then Amara said something that surprised even herself. Thank you. Yi Min blinked slightly. For what? For saving my life. He held her gaze. I promised to protect you. For the first time since the chaos began. Amara believed him completely. The penthouse was quiet again, but the silence felt heavier than before. Amara sat on the couch, staring at the spot where the 2 attackers had fallen only minutes earlier. The cleaning crew had already removed the bodies. Security had replaced the shattered glass. Everything looked normal again. But nothing felt normal. Yi Min stood near the window, speaking quietly on the phone. No, this wasn't random, he said. He listened for a moment. Yes, send the message. Another pause. No survivors. Amara looked up sharply. He ended the call and turned toward her. Your men, she asked. Yes. You're sending them after whoever did this. Yes. Her voice was softer now. Is it going to be violent? Yi Min didn't lie. Yes. She nodded slowly. I figured. A long silence filled the room. Finally, she said, I watched you shoot someone tonight. Yes. And somehow I'm not scared of you. That's unusual. She leaned back against the couch. I'm scared of the world around you, but not you. Yi Min studied her expression carefully. Why? Because you didn't hesitate to protect me. Her voice trembled slightly. And because when you look at me, you don't see weakness. The words hung in the air. For the first time since they met, Yi Min seemed unsure how to respond. Amara exhaled slowly. So what happens now? Now we wait. For what? For my enemies to realize they made a mistake. She raised an eyebrow. That sounds ominous. It is. Her phone buzzed again on the table. She groaned. I swear the internet never sleeps. She checked the screen. Her eyes widened slightly. What? Yi Min asked. She turned the phone toward him. A news headline filled the screen. Violence erupts in Harbor District. Warehouse explosion reported. Yi Min recognized the location immediately. That's one of their warehouses, he said calmly. Your men? Yes. Amara stared at him. So you just started a war? They started it. And now it's escalating. Yes. She set the phone down. Well, at least things are consistent. Yimin almost smiled. But before he could speak, another voice echoed from the elevator. A deep, older voice. So this is the woman. Amara turned quickly. An elderly man stepped into the penthouse. He wore an expensive suit and carried himself with quiet authority. 2 guards followed behind him. Yimin's expression hardened slightly. Chairman CEO. The older man looked directly at Amara. So you're the reason my organization is suddenly in chaos. Amara blinked. That's a dramatic introduction. Chairman CEO ignored the comment. He turned to Yimin. You married her without consulting anyone. Yes. You exposed our entire network. No. You've made her a target. I know. The older man shook his head. You're thinking with emotion instead of logic. Yimin's voice dropped slightly. Careful. The room grew tense. Amara watched the exchange carefully. Finally, she spoke. Excuse me. Both men turned toward her. If you're going to argue about me, maybe include me in the conversation. Chairman CEO studied her closely. You're bold. I'm honest. You don't understand the world you stepped into. That seems to be a popular opinion lately. He walked closer. This world destroys people. Then it should try harder, Amara replied. For the first time, the old man looked slightly impressed. You're not afraid of me. Should I be? Most people are. She shrugged. I already survived the worst day of my life. Chairman CEO looked at Yimin. She has spirit. I noticed. The old man sighed. You've complicated everything. Yimin didn't argue. Yes. But you've also made your enemies reckless. That was inevitable. Chairman CEO nodded slowly. Very well. He turned toward the elevator again. But understand this. His eyes moved to Amara. Anyone connected to Yimin becomes a target. I'm aware, she said. Good. The elevator doors closed behind him. Silence filled the penthouse again. Amara exhaled slowly. Your coworkers are intense. He's not a coworker. What is he then? One of the most powerful men in my organization. And he doesn't like me. No. That's unfortunate. Yimin walked closer. He respects strength. Did I pass the test? Yes. She leaned back slightly. Good. I was worried he'd try to throw me out the window. He considered it. She blinked. You're joking. Yes. She laughed weakly. This whole situation is insane. Yimin sat across from her. You can still leave. She shook her head again. You keep offering that. And you keep refusing. Because something changed tonight. What? She looked directly at him. Now I know exactly what kind of world I'm in. And I'm still here. He held her gaze for several seconds. You're stronger than you think. Maybe. The tension between them softened. The adrenaline from the attack had faded, leaving behind something quieter. Something deeper. Amara spoke again, her voice softer. You know, we got married yesterday. Yes. And somehow we've already survived humiliation, threats, and an assassination attempt. Yes. She smiled faintly. That's a pretty intense honeymoon. For the first time that night, Yimin laughed. A quiet, genuine sound. Amara stared at him in surprise. You can laugh. Occasionally. I should celebrate. She stood and walked toward the kitchen. After tonight, I think we both deserve a drink. He watched her for a moment. For the first time since the chaos began. The penthouse didn't feel like a battlefield. It felt almost like home. 6 months passed. The city had returned to its normal rhythm, but life for Amara and Yimin had changed completely. The war that had started after the penthouse attack didn't end overnight. There had been more confrontations, more threats, more tense nights where Amara waited for Yemin to return home safely. But somehow, through all the chaos, something unexpected had grown between them. Trust, respect, and something deeper neither of them had planned. On a warm evening overlooking the city skyline, Amara stood on the balcony of the penthouse. The wind moved gently through her hair as she watched the glowing lights below. 6 months ago, she had stood in a church, humiliated in front of hundreds of people. Now her life looked completely different. Behind her, the balcony door slid open. She didn't turn around. "You're late," she said. Yemin stepped outside. "Traffic." That's a terrible excuse for someone who owns half the transportation companies in this city. He smiled faintly. "Fair point." Amara turned toward him. For a moment, they just looked at each other. The tension that once existed between them had softened into something familiar. "You've been quiet tonight," she said. "I've been thinking. That usually means trouble. Not tonight." She leaned against the railing. "Good, I think we've had enough trouble for a while." The past few months had tested both of them. After the warehouse explosion, their enemies had pushed harder. But Yemin's response had been even stronger. One by one, the groups threatening them had disappeared. Some had negotiated peace. Others had simply vanished from the criminal landscape. Even Chairman Seo had begun treating Amara differently. Not as a weakness, but as someone who had chosen to stand beside Yemin despite the danger. Amara looked up at the sky. "Do you regret it?" she asked suddenly. "Regret what?" "Walking into that church." Yemin didn't hesitate. "No. Even though it started a war." "Yes." She studied his face. "You're very certain." "I am." Amara smiled slightly. "Good." Silence settled between them again. But it wasn't uncomfortable. It was peaceful. Finally, Yemin reached into his jacket pocket. "I have something for you." Amara raised an eyebrow. "That sounds suspicious." He pulled out a small velvet box. Her eyes widened slightly. "Wait, are you serious?" He opened the box. Inside was a simple but elegant diamond ring. The city lights reflected in the stone. "The first time I married you," Yemin said quietly, "it was to protect you." Amara's heart began to race. "But this time," he continued, "I want to do it properly." He stepped closer. "This time, I want you to choose me." Her voice trembled slightly. "You're proposing to your own wife." "Yes." "That's very unconventional." "So is our wedding." She laughed softly. "That's true." Yemin held the ring between them. "You can still say no." Amara looked at him for a long moment. She thought about the wedding humiliation, the threats, the attack in the penthouse, the nights they had spent talking about everything and nothing, the way he had protected her without ever trying to control her. "You know," she said quietly, "6 months ago I thought my life was over." Yemin said nothing. "But somehow the worst day of my life led me here." She reached out slowly. "You're the most dangerous man I've ever met. I've been told that. And yet you're also the man who gave me back my dignity." Her eyes softened. "So yes." She held out her hand. "Yes, I choose you." Yemin slid the ring onto her finger. This time, the moment felt completely different from the chaos of the church. There were no whispers, no humiliation, no audience judging them. Just the two of them. Amara looked down at the ring and smiled. "I guess this makes our marriage official." It always was. But now it's real. Yemin gently pulled her closer. "It was real the moment you decided to stay." She leaned her head against his shoulder. "Are we finally done with the chaos?" He thought about it for a moment. In my world, chaos never fully disappears. She sighed dramatically. I had a feeling you'd say that. But we'll face it together. She looked up at him. That sounds fair. Far below them, the city continued to move with its endless energy. Cars moved through glowing streets. People lived their lives without knowing the strange story that had begun inside a church months earlier. A story that started with humiliation and ended with something far stronger. Love built through danger, trust formed through survival, and a woman who had transformed from a humiliated bride into someone powerful enough to stand beside one of the most feared men in the world. Amara squeezed his hand gently. You know what's funny? What? If Trevor hadn't humiliated me at the altar. She looked up at him with a smile. I would have never met you. Yeeman nodded slowly. Then I suppose we owe him some gratitude. Let's not go that far. They both laughed quietly. The wind moved gently across the balcony as the city lights shimmered below. For the first time since that chaotic wedding day, everything felt right. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what you think would have happened if Yeeman never walked into that church.